Hey folks, this is Rob with Cherry City Woodworks, and our project today is going to be our most technical build to date. We're building an overhead crane. Now, to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing, it's not for lifting big heavy things or moving materials around. It's for photography. My current setup, it's a real pain. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's switch to cell phone video real quick, and then we'll come back. I just want to show you what I'm dealing with here. So this is what I'm currently dealing with. I have all this, right? And they're all supported on all that. So when I go from tool to tool or process to process or whatever I'm doing, I have to move all that stuff around. And along with moving it around is I have to get the lights into a good spot so things are nicely lit, have to get the camera in a spot to get a good angle, and I still have to get all of this in there to actually do the work. So the whole idea is all three of these tripods are going to be gone, everything's going to be overhead, and it's just going to make things a lot easier. Let's get started. All right, what's the measurement there?
9 feet more like.
Perfect. Hop on down. Alright, so what we have there between the two lofts is a 2x6. And on top of that 2x6, we've got a piece of 1" by 1" angle iron. And it is screwed down to the top of that 2x6, and that whole thing is making the one side the track basically that my gantry will roll back and forth on. So we just have to replicate that on the other side of the shop, and we'll be ready to start actually putting the gantry together. Alright, just for demonstration purposes, here's our other piece of angle iron that's going to make our other track. These are the wheels that the gantry is going to run on. They've got a nice V and a groove in them. So those will sit right there on top of that angle, and that's how the gantry will slide back and forth. Alright, we get this mounted and get the second one up. Alright folks, day 2 of the gantry overhead camera crane build. What we got done last night, that right there, we got both of our tracks up with the angle iron. That's going to be the little runners. And so far what we've got done today, so we had to go outside, we're going to break down a bunch of sheet goods to make the gantry. It's going to have wheels on each side of it that run on those angle iron, and basically it's going to be constructed like one big long box. That's going to give it a lot of stability and a lot of strength. The bottom part is going to be wider because we're going to make a carriage that has little wheels on it, and you'll see it when it's all done. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we have to put some dados in here. We're going to use dados to construct this to make this really super strong, and they're not long enough. There's all out of an 8-foot sheet of ply. More than 8 feet from there to there. So we're also going to be attaching pieces together to get some extra length. That's going to be tricky to do that and get the strength that we need. But I've got a good idea. Pretty sure I know it's how it's going to work. We'll get to that when we get to that. Be back in just a second. Alright, you can see we've got our dado stack set up in the table saw. This wood, it's supposed to be a 3/4 inch ply, but it never is exactly what it says it is. So we had to mess around. First try, yeah, it fits in there, but it's a little sloppier than I like. Changed out some shims. Now we've got a real nice, tight, like really nice fitting dado in there. So now we're ready to dado some of our pieces. We're gonna have a bottom plate. This is a chunk left over from the side plate. We're gonna have a bottom plate that has dados in it and a top plate that has dados in it, and then we're gonna have two side pieces that are vertical that are gonna go between those dados, and that's what's gonna make the box that's really gonna give this a lot of stability. So let me rearrange some stuff and then we'll be back again. All right, we're back from doing all the dados, and here's all our short pieces. Our short bottom, top, and sides. These all have to get attached to the longer pieces so that it's over 10 feet long so we can make this work. But I thought before I do that, I can go ahead and show you, give you a better idea of how this can be put together. So, plywood has a little bit of bow to it. Fits in there really nice. So there's our two side pieces. And here's our top piece. Now it's just with this box type construction that's going to give our gantry all its strength. These really nice wide tops and bottoms will give it a lot of strength from going this way, and nice tall sides will keep it from going up and down. Now, the reason this bottom plate is so much wider is our carriage that we're going to assemble later is going to have these little casters on it. They're going to ride on this top edge, and that is how the carriage is going to move on the gantry. So I guess the next step is attach these shorter pieces to their longer parts and make nice long pieces that then we can do final assembly on, and we'll have the gantry put together. Be back in a bit. Alright, this is kind of showing you how I'm using the portable portion of my Craig jig for doing the joints of the sides and the top that I need to make longer. So here's the two pieces. So I've set it up obviously to use a whole bunch of Craig screws, but I did a test joint this way and it was really, really strong. So we're gonna go ahead and put that together in just 1 second. All right, we're gonna do our first little joint here. We're not gonna use a whole lot of glue, but kind of feels wrong doing a wood joint without some glue, so. side piece. And that is a surprisingly strong, stable joint. But even more so once it's glued into a dado holding it all in place. All right, so we're gonna do the other side, top and bottom, and then we'll be back with you for final assembly. All right, so we're getting ready to do some final assembly here. You can see we've got the top plate and the two sides all laid out next to each other. You see I've got the top plate has its butt joint down on that end. The side pieces have the butt joints down on this end because we don't want any joints lining up. We're gonna do the same thing with the top plate. It's gonna be down on that end as well. This is a lot to try to do and show at the same time. So there's just gonna be a lot of before and after shots. So we're gonna start assembly right now. All right, here's the gantry. Completely assembled. Taking a whole lot of measurements, making sure these V-glue grooves are gonna line up. Now, to try to put it up on the tracks. All right, with the help of my lovely assistant, we're gonna demonstrate that we have a working gantry. Do it, Cole. That's awesome. What do you think, Cole?
I think we did good.
I think we did good too. Now on to the carriage. We've got a working gantry, so now we need to work on the carriage. Start off by cutting this piece of ply. It's the exact same size as my Lazy Susan assembly that I've got here. That's what's going to make the entire articulated arm swivel, and how we're going to attach that arm to the carriage. So, let's get this attached and we'll start working on the rest of the carriage. Woo! That's always fun. Alrighty. So this is going to look maybe a little weird, but this is just how we have to do it. The strength from Lazy Susan comes from compressing it, not from pulling on it. Originally I'd planned to have the Lazy Susan basically have it mounted to the bottom of the carriage like this with the arm coming off of here, and it would work like that. But then you're trying to pull it apart. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to mount this on the inside of the carriage. We're going to mount pieces coming out that'll attach the arm to, so we'll have a big hole in the bottom of the carriage where this will be exposed. So that way the weight is pulling down and compressing it together. Alright? Let's get started on the rest. Alright, we got a nice big chunk of ply here. We're going to make the bottom of the carriage. Now if you saw the lip at the bottom of the gantry, that's where we're going to have these little casters riding on top of to move the whole carriage left and right. But we're also going to have some on the inside pressing to the side, and that's going to keep the carriage centered and rolling on track. So we need to make the bottom of the carriage the width of the bottom, which is 8 inches, plus enough room for each one of these little casters to be on each side to keep it centered. Now these are 1 3/8 tall from bottom to tip, so we're going to add 2 3/4 to cover wheels on each side. So we need a piece 10 3/4, and because I want the carriage to be square, not because it necessarily needs to be, I just want it to be, we're going to cut a piece 10 3/4 by 10 3/4. First, we're going to turn on the table saw. Alright, I know I just said turn on the table saw. That's pretty obvious. What I meant was plug in the table saw, because I just tried to turn on and it wouldn't turn on because I didn't have it plugged in. So we're plugged in now. We're ready to roll. There we go. There's the bottom of our carriage. So we've gone ahead and found center on this piece of plywood, and I have this nice little circle jig here. I usually use for marking bowls and things I'm going to turn. I'm going to take a nail, just tap it in a little bit, and we need to make a 4.5 inch hole. And this is all marked out. Here's the 4.5. There we go. Nice 4.5 inch hole marked out. Now I'll go drill a hole through here with a Forstner bit and then get in there and cut it out with the jigsaw. Alright, got a good hole drilled. We got our jigsaw out. Let's cut this thing out. Perfect, but we'll clean up on the spindle sander. Alright, go ahead and get this cleaned up on the spindle sander here. There we go. Let's go ahead and get all the corners rounded off here. We can go ahead and attach the Lazy Susan portion to the bottom of the carriage. I did hit the corners with some CA glue or super glue and some activator, so I basically glued that plate into place. And that's not enough to be a permanent attachment. That was basically just holding it so it doesn't shift while I'm screwing it down. Alright, so that's now all attached. This will be, if you're looking straight up at it, that's how that's going to be. We're going to have pieces coming out that each arm's going to attach to. So there's the bottom of the carriage. Now on to make the rest of the body. Alright, here's where we're at. So this is going to be the part that holds the arm. This is just a scrap wood that's been screwed through. It's clamped in here to keep them spaced the distance that I want to be apart. And you can see I've kind of traced that out on the bottom there where this is going to sit. So that's going to be in there. The arm's going to come off from here. So I've traced these out so I can drill a couple of holes so I can put this back into place and then put screws in from the underside to keep it all in place. To make this so this works, I'm going to do my little super glue and activator trick again. Although I think it's be easier to put the super glue onto here and spray the activator down in there. Should just take a couple of seconds for that to cure up. It's not strong enough to hold it on a permanent basis, but it should be strong enough to hold it in place so I can drill it and screw it. Well, that to me looks like a good rotating assembly. I think that's going to work. And these knobs crank down really well. This is really stiff, so I think that's going to work out quite well. Alright, on to the rest of the carriage. Alright, we gotta get some sides here. Cutting 4 7/8 inch here. Here's the carriage almost completely assembled. You can see all the wheels we got in there, keeping the whole thing centered on the gantry. And now we've gone through and marked out some end plates. These are going to cap the end of the carriage like this. It's going to keep the whole thing stable and together. Ignore this line. We're cutting out this, and that's going to give the space for the gantry to go through the middle. This is going to make the whole thing super rigid and sturdy. All right, folks, there's the completed carriage. See all the wheels in there. There's our Lazy Susan. Now I gotta try to figure out by myself how to get that up on the gantry. I'll show you when it's all done. We have a working carriage. Look at that. So we've got one of our first sets of arms here. And you can see on one arm I countersink it for a carriage bolt to go through. And right now the carriage bolt is just keeping everything lined up while I round off the end on the belt sander. We've got our first extensions to the articulated arm here. You can see it rolls really good on that Lazy Susan, along with the carriage going back and forth rather nicely. Basically at this point now, I'm going to make one more set of arms that are much shorter, and then an end piece that my camera will mount to. I'll probably go ahead and just wait till I get completely done before my next update, and let you see what the finished product looks like. So we'll see you back in just a little bit. Now finished up the entire gantry crane and articulated arm build. It's all set up. It's working. Cool thing is I can take you on a tour of the whole shop because of how well this thing swivels in place, and we can just walk around in big old circles with you in my face. And now, see right there, I've got some tripods that I don't need anymore. And I've got tons and tons and tons of floor space that I didn't have previously. So I'm gonna switch back over to cell phone mode again real quick so I can actually show you what this all looks like in place. So there we go. There's the whole setup. There's all the arms. There's the carriage. It's got everything swivels real nice. And of course the whole thing slides back and forth and the gantry moves back and forth. So this is gonna be a way for me to really just get a lot more done a lot more efficiently, not tripping over myself, not tripping all over tripods that are all over the place. And I'll be able to get a lot cooler angles, I think. So I'll be able to come right overhead, and I think it's really gonna open up the possibilities for me for shooting video. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you guys next time.